This guy needs to, 1, wean himself off, and then 2, get rid of all of it. 3, don't hang out with people who smoke it.
That's it. These are the lessons. These are the most important things that we have to remember from this conversation.
Taking advice is one thing, but implementing it in your own life is a whole nother ballgame. And that's what all this is about. In this series, we're gonna react to clips from the greatest minds, the best lessons that they teach, and we're gonna discuss on how to implement those lessons in our own lives. Self-improvement is for sure not easy, but if you can just apply one of these things in your own life, then you're way ahead of the majority. This is Real Life Lessons.
What's up guys, welcome back to this new video. My name is George William and today we are going to react to a video clip from the Bedros Keuilian show, where he's going to talk about how I tricked my brain to quit my addiction. We're gonna see what he has to say and think about ways to implement those lessons into our own lives. Let's hop into it.
Okay, how did you kick your Vicodin addiction? I can't stop smoking weed and I want to know how you killed your vice of popping pills.
So yes, I was addicted to Vicodin. And when I was addicted to Vicodin, I thought I wasn't, and I thought I had full control over it. But I realized when I ran out, I started to fiend for it in a way where I was reaching out to friends who I knew had had surgeries. And I know the doctor prescribes either Vicodin or Norco or oxycodone and Percocet. Like, I just needed something.
That's crazy, especially when you think you don't have an addiction, but when you stop using these things like alcohol, porn, drugs, in a few days you kind of start to feel the urge like, I need it, you know? And that's when you know you're addicted.
Ideally, I wanted Vicodin because that's what I was addicted to, but I'll take any painkiller because the side effect of it, how it sedated me and calmed me and relaxed me. Yeah. And that's why I started taking it, by the way. Remember, I had a bicep reconstruction. When I tore my bicep, doctor gave me a whole bunch of Vicodin. He's like, be careful not to drive, not to do anything with machinery. When you take this stuff, like, it just makes you loopy. I didn't take any because the pain wasn't so bad. Advil was enough. But now that I had a whole bottle of Vicodin, when I went through a phase of life that I was stressed and overwhelmed and needed a cheat code to sleep better, because remember, the 1.0 version of me, I wouldn't take action on the things that were giving me stress and anxiety. I would just procrastinate and kick the can down the road. Yeah. And so the anxiety elements only built up. And so I was like, I know what'll make me sleep.
That's hard, and that's also one of the reasons why I don't want anything to do with pills and stuff when you're ill or using some sort of painkiller or something that's going to reduce your inflammation, because it's so easy to get addicted to this stuff, but also to use it when you actually might not need it and use it for other purposes, and that's not good. That's not why the doctor wanted you to have these things.
And so I took one and I slept really good that night. After about a month of like taking one every now and then, I needed 2, and then I needed 3. 3 or 4 were no longer enough. Damn. But I came to a point where I was like, all right, I need to be done. So I started to wean myself off. And the one thing that I do have for myself is I do have, I think, factory installed a very strong will. I've got a very strong will. Like, if I'm suffering, I will suffer for a very long time and leave myself in the shit. But I will also, like, if I'm winning, I will just keep winning. Like, whatever thing I'm doing, I can go all in on, right? And then when I had, like, I was just taking like 1 or 2 couple times a week, I threw the rest of it away because I had a large supply. Now, that was way back in like 2013, 14. Fast forward to 2020, the pandemic happens. And I'm not sleeping well at night. We're losing franchise locations. We're not able to sell new Fit Body Bootcamp locations.
The stress and things that are not going that well are coming back again, and that's also the main reason why a lot of people relapse.
I'm drinking a few cocktails every night of vodka and pineapple juice, and that's not helping me sleep anymore. I'm starting to get angry. I'm starting to get depressed. I'm starting to get desperate in terms of, like, we might lose our entire franchise brand, right? And so I reached out, and it was in that point, I reached out to a friend. He worked in this building at the time. He had, ironically, a bicep reconstruction. I was like, hey man, do you have any Vicodins? He's like, yeah.
No way.
He's like, yeah. He goes, but dude, I read your book. I know that you were addicted to them. I'm like, this is just to get me through the pandemic. I just need a night or 2 of good sleep every week. I'm not sleeping right now because I'm so fucked up because of what's happening to our company and what's happening to the world. He gave me a little Ziploc bag. Dude, I was like, I took them, and then when I think it was like 4 or 5 in there. I took like 1 a week, so once a week I was getting good night's sleep. But then I remember, like, all right, now I'm gonna ask for more. Like, I see where this is going. And so instead of asking for more, I was like, what would help me? I got it. Stop having the cocktails at night. Stop scrolling through the news and seeing like what different states are doing and why this is a whole thing, and why the pandemic is fake, and why the vaccine is this, and why like I had gotten so deep into the rabbit hole, like I couldn't tell real from fake anymore. And so I needed alcohol, I needed Vicodin. So I went back to, what can you control? I can control my team. I can control the effort that we put out. I can control the attitude that I have. I can control my sleep. I can control my workout started to suffer. I started to emotionally eat again. So like when a life ambush happens is when you're most likely to go back to your vices. So this guy needs to, 1, wean himself off, and then 2, get rid of all of it. 3, don't hang out with people who smoke it.
That's it. These are the lessons. These are the most important things that we have to remember from this conversation. Don't surround yourself with people who have the same addiction. Try to control the things that you have control over and not the things that you don't have any control over. So what he's saying right here is the pandemic situation, you don't know what's real, you don't know what's fake. He doesn't have any control over what's coming in the news. The only thing that he has control over is the fact that it's going to bother him or not at all. He has control over the things like the cocktails that he maybe shouldn't drink anymore, because then he might get better sleep. He has control over his company. What are the things that we can still do in this pandemic, even though we're stressed out? Focus on these things when you're addicted to something. There's always a reason why people want to find the easy way out. And that's mostly because they are not doing something that they actually need to do, because they are just blaming it on the world.
You got to be strong-willed. And if you don't, then you're always going to access it. You're going to be around people, and in a moment of weakness, you're going to take a hit. And so it's like, well, those are my buddies, though. Those are my bros. Like, we still hang out.
You always
them.
find excuses.
Like, you have to be that ruthless. And that's how ruthless I've become in life, where if people don't serve me and my vision in my life, like, you can't be in it.
I think that if you try and quit and you end up doing whatever the thing is again, you really didn't want to quit. I think if you really, when you're tired of being tired and you're done, I don't think you'll go back. When you go back, it's like, I don't really want to quit. I still kind of want to dabble a little bit. But when you're done, you're done, like you said.
My therapist, Kevin, has this really awesome saying. He goes, follow that golden thread. So he goes, let's say you've got this bright idea that you're going on a business trip, and no one's going to know if you have an extra cocktail or 2. So follow that golden thread. So you have an extra cocktail or 2 that night. Now what happens? Like, well, the next morning I wake up like pretty buzzed. I don't metabolize alcohol that well anymore, so I'm foggy headed. I'm a little slow. He goes, okay, now what? Oh, I fall behind on work. Now what? And I start feeling like overwhelmed and anxious. Now what? Now I start isolating myself because I'm overwhelmed and anxious, and I didn't live a congruent life to the man that I am.
Everything has consequences. Something like having 1 extra beer or having 1 extra hit feels so small, but it has such big influences on how the rest of the day or maybe even the week will progress. And that's something that most people just simply ignore.
I feel like if I come home, like I have to hide that from my family because I had a few extra cocktails when I told them that I stopped drinking. And so when you follow that golden thread, whatever it is, you see like how the dominoes fall, and you go, fuck it. So with a Vicodin use, it's only gonna go so long before they're like, dude, you need a liver transplant, or my kids find out that I'm addicted, or the wife leaves you. Like, you unravel the golden thread and go, how does this end? It ends in a very bad way. So then you go, do I want it to end that way, or am I willing to do something about it? And then that something about it has to be drastic.
Right.
And for me, it was like, I'm done.
And I think that's a great way to trick your brain to quit any addiction. So this guy had a very common situation where he wants to quit something, but he has people around him who still are doing those things. And as these guys are saying, it's not ruthless to not hang out with them anymore. And I promise there are always people who are thinking in the same way, but most of them are too scared to take action. So remember that you are here for yourself. You're not here to impress others, because if they are really your friends, they would support you in the decision that you want to make. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you can take something from these lessons, and then I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.